my name. Hi friends of the Palm Beach County Library System. I am Carolina Quiroga. I am a storyteller, and maybe some of you have seen some of my children videos in the past, and this is my first time sharing a personal story with you, and this story is about my name. We all have a name, right? Some wear their names with pride, others with modesty, and others with a bit of discomfort, like an Egyptian curse passed down by Tutankhamun. Still, most people keep their birth name unless their identity is confronted. And so the name mutates, transforms, and grows in unexpected ways. And that's what happened to mine. My name is Carolina Andrea Quiroga Hurtado. My parents call me Carito. Other family members call me Carolinita. My Colombian friends call me Caro. At some point, I was Nani to my papi. And to some of my teachers, I was Carolina Q. And to others, Señorita Quiroga. Over the years, my name has twisted and stretched in ways I never anticipated. In the 1980s, there was a craze for the name Carolina. Carolina de Monaco, that famous European princess with a tragic life straight out of a Mexican telenovela. Meanwhile, Carolina Herrera, the Venezuelan fashion designer, was redefining elegance with big shoulder pads on the runway. Thanks to these icons, at least 20% of girls born in my generation were named Carolina. In my grade alone, there were 3 Carolinas: Carolina Lopez, Carolina Restrepo, and Carolina Quiroga. And our personalities and physiognomies couldn't differ more. A black leader, a white entertainer, and a mestiza, bookworm. We were like a colorful Benetton ad, pioneering diversity in our Catholic school. So to avoid confusing us in case they couldn't tell us apart, they shortened our names. Caro Lopez, Caro Restrepo, and yours truly, Caro Quiro. It worked, sort of. When I came to the US, things got more creative. My name became a tongue twister. People stare at me like I was reciting the Bible backwards. Some give up with excuses like, "Oh, I'm too old to learn how to pronounce that." Yeah, sure, but they can order a venti oat milk matcha with light ice, 2 pumps of vanilla, and 3 sugars, but can't pronounce Carolina? At Starbucks, I became Catalina, Coralina, Christina, Carlina, and my favorite, Chlorina. I just went with it. But eventually, I grew tired of the rushed scribbles on my coffee cup and the awkward looks, and chose a practical solution: to introduce myself as Andrea, my middle name. This strategy was inspired by 2 South Korean classmates who introduced themselves as Susie, Candy. When I asked them if those were the real names, they laughed. People here can't pronounce our names. Can't or won't. Our names are part of our identity, often tied to memories of loved ones. Still, practicality won. Andrea became my go-to name as a customer. Then came the issue of my last names. In Latin America, we honor both sides of the family. So my legal last names are Quiroga Hurtado. But the bank, in its infinite wisdom, rebaptized me as Carolina Hurtado. I tried explaining that Quiroga was my first last name, not a third name, but they wouldn't budge. They stared at me like I was explaining quantum physics in Russian while dancing tango. So Carolina Hurtado was born, or rather imposed by this minimalistic American norm. Carolina Hurtado is my corporate alter ego. A confident gray suit rushing through well-lit halls in her high heels, making her mark in a world built by men. Carolina Hurtado finished engineering school, like I did. But instead of becoming a storyteller, she took a job at JP Morgan, bought a Peloton bike, joined a 401(k), froze her eggs, and traveled to exotic places once a year with her mountain climbing friends. On the subject of last names, I haven't yet touched on my husband's last name. My dearest family name is Stoltz. And although I love the man, I did not take his last name. It's not part of my culture to do that. We don't swap names like gym towels. We keep our family names and our mother's cooking techniques. Yet, since my husband's grandmother, the family's matriarch, couldn't process the idea of me not changing my last name and couldn't remember how to pronounce my family's name, what is it? I let her call me Carolina Stoltz. I flirted with the idea for a minute. It sounded fancy. Carolina Stoltz, as most people would have called me, eventually would have become a taller and wider version of me. Oh, so many benefits. Despite that, I declined the lift and the full embrace into this family of giants, and I chose to keep my family's heritage despite the foreseeable bumps. Yet back in the day, I toyed with combining the names Carolina Quiroga Stoltz, but that was a disaster. MCs introducing me sweated, shivered, and almost gave up despite the rehearsals, written notes, mnemotechniques, Quiroga, or my blessing. You got this. It was worse than trying to pronounce a German, Chinese, or Indian Russian name. I became unrecognizable. With you, ladies and gentlemen, Carolina Quiroga. Who is that? To simplify things, I adopted Carolina Storyteller as my stage and business name. It worked perfectly for children, audiences, teachers, and my website. Until one day, at a festival, a group of storytellers confronted me. Why the storyteller? They looked at me like I had trademarked oxygen. But later, I reflected on the question and realized it wasn't just about the title. It was about owning my name. Why should I change my name for other people's convenience? On stage, I'm famous, at least for 15 seconds. In 2023, I left all that behind. My website, email, signature, and stage name became Carolina Quiroga. Today, I appreciate it when people try to pronounce my name, as I do with theirs. And if they butcher it, I don't correct them harshly. I hate to embarrass people. In truth, people don't remember half of the MC's words, but they do remember the experience the storyteller gave them. And that gives me a much better chance for the audience, if they like my stories, to commit to learning my name. Whether they call me Caro, Carolina, or even Andrea, I respond with the confidence of someone who knows that a name not only carries syllables, but stories. And stories hold worlds within them. But worlds are in constant adaptation. And that's all for today, friends of the Palm Beach County Library System. Thank you for joining me through this journey about my name. I hope you learned how to pronounce it. But also remember that it makes a huge difference when someone else can hear their names well pronounced in your mouths. It makes them feel like they belong. Until the next time, adios, adios.